So we've already looked at how we round if we have multiplication or division and if we have addition or subtraction. But what if we have both? Well, if we have both, we apply the rounding rules in the order in which we apply the operations. And so we're going to use our little PEMDAS mnemonic to remind us how to do that. So here we have a calculation. We've got both parentheses and division. So we'll do the subtraction in parentheses first, and then we'll do the division. Now, even though we apply the rounding rules in that order, we're not going to round. If we round at the end of every step in a multi-step problem, we can end up with quite a big rounding error at the end. So instead, we just underline the digit we should have rounded to. So let's take a look. If we do that subtraction, we get 94.9 as our answer from the subtraction. Okay, and then we're going to divide by 7.512. Now, before we do the division, let's go ahead and look at what we should have rounded this number to. Okay, when we subtract, remember we don't count significant figures, we count decimal places. So here we have something in the tens column, and here we have something in the tens column. So we need to round our subtraction to the tens column. Okay, remember this number right here only has 2 sig figs, but our correct rounded answer has 3 sig figs. Okay, because we're rounding to the tens column. We're limited to the tens column because of these columns here. Now, if this had had more digits, we still would have just underlined the tenths column and not gone ahead and rounded until the end to avoid rounding errors. Now we're going to go ahead and divide, and when we divide those two numbers, we get 12.63312034. That's our long calculator answer. And when we divide, we count significant figures. So this has 3 significant figures. This has 4 significant figures. So our answer should have 3 significant figures. Okay, we're going to round to this column. This number that we're going to drop is 5 or less. So we let it rest. 12.6. And that is our final answer. So if we just glanced, if we just glanced at this problem here, we'd see we've got 3 sig figs, 2 sig figs, 4 sig figs, and we might be tempted to just round our answer to 2 sig figs. But in fact, we have to round to 3 sig figs because the subtraction limited us to the tens column, which actually gave us something with 3 sig